So Midjourney finally released version 6 just before Christmas, and everyone's been raving about just how amazing it is. I think there's no doubt about the image quality. That's even far more impressive than it was in version 5. But what about prompt coherence? Yes, version 6 is a massive improvement over version 5, and I personally think it's become even easier to prompt than before as long as you're following the right framework. However, how does this stack up against DALL-E 3? Well, you're about to find out because this is the Prompt Coherence Challenge. So first of all, welcome back and welcome to 2024. As many of you have probably already noticed, I took a bit of a break over the past 2 months or so, and I focused more attention on continuing to build Prompt-A-Lot. And I guess some of you even thought that I may have disappeared, but don't worry, I'm back now and you can expect more content from me on a regular basis going forward. So in today's prompt challenge, we're going to let Midjourney version 6 go head-to-head with DALL-E 3. Now, for the uninitiated, when DALL-E 3 came out, it completely blew Midjourney out of the water in terms of prompt coherence. Now, at the time, that surprised a lot of people, and me as well. However, with version 6, Midjourney has improved on a lot of elements. Not only has its image quality gotten even better than before, its prompt coherence has also improved dramatically. Now, the only caveat is that in order to achieve that coherence, we need to prompt slightly differently than before. So as we go through these comparisons today, you're going to notice that I'm using a slightly different prompting style than in my previous videos. For those of you who are already students of my Midjourney course, Masters of Midjourney, you'll be glad to hear that I'll be releasing additional content very soon explaining exactly how you need to prompt in version 6 in order to achieve exactly what you want to get. But without much further ado, let's get started with the Prompt Coherence Challenge Round 1. So for round 1 of this challenge, we're going to create something fairly simple, but with a lot of tiny details. The prompt that I prepared is for an image of a landscape in a Norwegian fjord. Inside that fjord, we're going to place a small fishing village with wooden chalets in 2 different colors. The entire scene should also take place in winter, so we can expect the mountains to be covered in snow. We also want to place some boats along the shoreline. And the most challenging part is that even though it will probably be snowing, or we want it to snow, we still want some warm sunlight to pierce through the clouds. We're clearly aiming for photorealism here, so I'm not going to add much detail in terms of stylistic guidance. So here's the full prompt that we're going to use. Imagine wide-angle aerial view of a small Norwegian fishing village located in a vast fjord. The village consists of wooden chalets painted either red or blue. The fjord is surrounded by large snow-covered mountains. Boats are docked along the shoreline. It is snowing, but a glimpse of sunshine is piercing through the clouds. Dramatic lighting with a golden shimmer in a cinematic style. And then we add our parameters. I'm going to use style raw, simply because the base styling of version 6 is just a little tad bit too much for me. And I'd like to see a more raw result, which also means I get to control more of the details. So let me quickly generate these and then we'll make a quick assessment. Okay, cool. So let's open this up and have a look. And these are excellent. So first of all, we can see is that we have an aerial view. It may not be as high up as you would like, but these are things that you can still fine tune. We can see that this is a fjord. We have a fishing village placed within the fjord. We can also see that in individual images, we see wooden chalets, which are either red or blue. So that's working quite well. And we also have snow-covered mountains around us. Now, it's not snowing in each one of these images, or let me, actually it is. If we take a look at the top left corner, you can see a few snowflakes. In the others, it's not 100% clear always, but, and this is probably the most important part, at least in the top left one, we can see that there's some light piercing through. So it's not entirely clear whether it's snowing, it's not clear whether there's sunlight, it's a mix of both. Now with the others, there's a hint of this, but not quite, it's not coming through quite as much as I would like. The other thing that we'll notice is that there are a few boats, they're docked along the shoreline. I think I may have expected a few more boats, but this is actually pretty good. So all of the key elements that I've mentioned, the specifics, they're all in there. And this is completely different from anything that we've seen in version 5, which would have made this a lot more difficult, even though it's a fairly simple subject to prompt. Okay, so what about DALL-E though? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy the exact same prompt here down here with my toolbar. By the way, for those who don't know, this is the Prompt-A-Lot helper, which is a browser extension that allows you to prompt a lot more easily, more quicker. You can copy and paste things. And there's also a platform that goes with it. Check it out on promptalot.com. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to switch to DALL-E. And in DALL-E, I'm going to enter the following prompt. Create an image in 16:9 format using this prompt. And then I'm just going to paste the exact same text just without the parameters. And we're going to hit enter and see what we get from that. Okay, excellent. So let me open up this first one. And what we can see is that we've got our fjord. We've got a fishing village placed, well, somewhere in the middle. And the houses are either blue or red. but I have to say sometimes it's not clear whether some of the sides of the houses are red and then the other side is blue. So it didn't quite distinguish perfectly that's supposed to be two different types of houses. However, what we see is we have snow on the mountains. We also have the boats on the shoreline. Not as many as I would have expected, but pretty much the same result as in Midjourney. And what comes through really well here is the dramatic lighting that's piercing through the clouds, even though there's a hint of snow, which we can see here in the lower section of the image in the top right corner. If we check out the other image, it's pretty much the same thing, just a different angle, an aerial view. The piercing of the light is coming through really well. Unfortunately, this image is cropped, but there's a lot more boats, and we can also see again that some of these houses are a mix of red and blue. Overall, these images are great. So aesthetically, Midjourney is still well ahead of DALL-E. It's not quite obvious in this example. You'll see it more in the other rounds, but the trained eye will always identify the fact that Midjourney is more aesthetic. Now, in terms of prompt coherence, some elements are better in DALL-E, some elements are better in Midjourney. Overall, I think this one is a draw.
Round 2. Fight!
Okay, so in round 2, we're going to switch to illustration, and we're going to try to recreate a scene from an old video of mine from last year. If you've been following me for a while, then you may remember the video where we tried to create a multi-character scene from about a year ago. Here's the fairly complex multi-prompt that I used back then. And it produced images that looked like this. At the time, it was incredibly difficult to prompt something like this. But today, things look very different. I'm going to use slightly different elements in this prompt, but the core concept from back then is still going to remain the same. A boy, a girl, and a white rabbit having a conversation in a park. So here's the prompt. Imagine then a boy and a girl having a conversation with a rabbit. On the left is a 6-year-old boy with brown hair wearing blue overalls with a white shirt. In the middle is an 8-year-old girl with long blonde hair wearing a yellow dress. On the right is a white fluffy rabbit. The boy and girl and rabbit are having a conversation next to a fountain inside New York's Central Park. Golden autumn weather with falling leaves, children's book vector illustration style, followed by my parameters. So let's generate this set of images. Okay, and let's have a closer look at the set. And I think these are great. So much better than anything we would have gotten previously with Midjourney. There are some issues though. So first of all, we see 2 boys in the top left corner. I'm not sure why. However, they are wearing the right clothes. They look the way they're supposed to look. They have a white shirt, blue overalls. The girl also wears a yellow dress in all of these images. She's turning into a bit of a rabbit in the bottom right one, which is odd. But there is a fluffy rabbit in this scene as well. And they are within a park. There's a fountain next to them. And it's autumn season. Now, the one element that we are missing here is New York City. So we would have expected to see some sort of a hint of New York City in the background, maybe in the skyline. And if you shorten this prompt and remove a lot of the elements that we've added, then those elements will start to reappear as well. And it didn't in this case because the prompt has become quite long. But overall, this is really, really great. It's much better and much easier than anything that we could have done before. And in my opinion, 90% of the elements are covered. But what happens in DALL-E? So I'm going to have a quick look here, and we're going to enter the exact same prompt again. I just need to copy it real quick. So create an image using this prompt, and let's wait quickly. All right, great. So let's look at the first one. Remember, we're comparing prompt coherence and not aesthetics. Aesthetics are also a bit subjective. So for example, a lot of you may really like this style. I personally prefer the other style. The problem with this style here is that this is kind of the default style of DALL-E. For some reason, whenever you try to prompt illustration or like a children's book, anything like that, it will always produce this style. For some reason, it's very difficult to divert from it. But to be fair, I also didn't add a lot of detail on what I wanted to see in the style. But in terms of coherence, everything is there. We've got the boy, white shirt, blue overalls, a girl in the yellow dress, long blonde hair, he has brown hair. There's a white rabbit in the middle. They're having a conversation. They're sitting by a fountain, and they're within Central Park, clearly, because you can see in the background the skyline of what is obviously going to be which is going to be New York. It's also autumn. You've got falling leaves. This is a really, really good image. If you look at the second one, it's pretty much the same thing, just a different style. The format, it's turned squares somehow. I don't really know why. But if we look at what it is giving us here, it's a very polished image, and all of the bases are covered. So in terms of prompt coherence, this one is excellent. So as much as I prefer the art style that was used by Midjourney, I'm going to have to give this point to DALL-E 3. It's definitely more coherent. Good job.
Round 3. Fight!
Okay, next up in round 3 is 3D animation. We're going to create a scene with a female agent character. We're also going to describe minute details about her outfit as well as her hairstyle. And we're going to position her on top of a skyscraper of some sorts, looking upon a futuristic megacity in a sort of dystopian atmosphere. Let me quickly share the prompt with you. Imagine wide, high-angle shot of a female agent looking upon a megacity in the year 2300. On the left is a female agent with blue braided bun hair, wearing a white bodysuit with orange stripes. On the right is a sprawling futuristic megacity with a blend of American and Asian architecture. The city emits a teal glow in the evening sunset, dystopian atmosphere 3D animation style, and again our parameters. Let's generate this set. Okay, so here's what I think. These look awesome. So I'm not a big fan of this 3D animation style, but I gotta say this looks really, really good. Looks like one of these, remember that very first Final Fantasy movie, that ended up in the movie theaters? Looks kind of a bit like that. We have the woman who seems to be a female agent. She's wearing a jumpsuit. There are elements of orange in the white suit, but they're not quite lines. She has blue hair, and they are kind of braided up into a bun. It's not 100% what I would have expected, but I'll let it pass. It's pretty good. And she's overlooking a sprawling megacity, Blade Runner or whatever. The way they just look, it's pretty difficult to discern whether it's, Asian or American architecture, to be honest. There's also a slight teal glow, but it seems a little bit more random than I wanted it to be. Overall, though, this is a really good image. Looks really good. Would have been really difficult to create this previously with version 5. So how about we compare this to DALL-E now? Oops, let me just quickly remove these parameters. Okay, nice. Let's check out the first one. And this is really good. So we've got our female agent. She has blue braided bun hair. It is literally braided and got these two buns, kind of like Princess Leia. And she's wearing a white jumpsuit, and which has orange stripes. So while in the Midjourney example, there was clearly orange color within the jumpsuit, it wasn't obvious that they were supposed to be stripes. Here we actually have stripes. So prompt coherence spot on. Then we have, architecture is difficult to sort of determine, but there's a very obvious teal glow coming from the city. It's a sprawling megacity. I mean, what else do you want to say? So I think this one is really, really good. And the next one is pretty much the same thing, just a different variation of it. It's, again, let's not talk about aesthetics, because aesthetic-wise, the Midjourney images just win by a landslide. That's clear. But if you look at the tiny details, the prompt coherence of DALL-E 3 is still considerably better here. For the type of stuff that I work on, these would not really be usable for me because they just look a bit too, I don't know, especially these, they look a bit cheap, like cheap 3D animation, but the prompt coherence is excellent. So I would still go with Midjourney for what I'm using, but in terms of prompt coherence, this point goes to DALL-E 3 one more time. So just imagine what if we were able to get this type of coherence from Midjourney. Now that's where we want to go. And I don't want to complain about where Midjourney is now, but Midjourney, that should be your objective. Okay, so let's move on to the final round.
Round 4. Fight!
All right, so for this final example, I'm going to pick something slightly more unusual because I think it's an excellent demonstration of why prompt coherence is super important for particular use cases. We're going to create a website design concept for an outdoor clothing brand. And more specifically, it's going to be a high-end sailing brand. Our color palette will be using navy blue, white, and touches of gold. And we also want to showcase a particular product, in this case, a red sailing jacket. Okay, so here's the prompt that I used in Midjourney. Web design concept, a website design for an outdoor clothing brand for sports sailing. The website has a navigation menu at the top and then showcases a visual of an active sports sailor. Below the feature image is a product photo of a red sailing jacket. The website color palette is a combination of navy blue and white with touches of gold, luxurious and modern. And then we just add our parameters, and we're going to stick with a square format because very often the type of output that you get from Midjourney is also somewhat dependent on the format that you use. So a sort of wide landscape format would not work with this sort of thing, or not as well. So we're just going to stick to square. All right, nice. Let's open these up and let's have a closer look. So what you can see here is we've gotten 4 different website design concepts. Pretty spot on. The 2 left ones are a bit better because they've actually positioned products below the feature image. So that worked pretty well. I'll have to admit that this did not always work before. So these 2 left examples are really, really good. The yellow colors, it's not exactly what I was looking for. The images on the right are really, really nice in terms of, because it's like fashion photography, but there's much less emphasis on, what the website design. And this is something that Midjourney will do a lot. It just has this tendency to, produce images that could be used as photos. And it's not the best sort of thing for this type of layout concept, to be honest. So overall, I'm pretty happy with these. The color scheme is there. It's pretty much done what I wanted it to do. It just may not be as focused on the actual layout as I may have expected it to kind of do. Anyway, so let's plug this into DALL-E and see what we get here. All right, nice. So let's have a look at the first one. So there's clearly a stronger focus on the actual layout of the website design concept. And we see sort of a feature image at the top, we got the navigation, and we've got a product shot just below the feature image. It did mess up the colors, to be honest. So the jacket, we expected the jacket to be red. Here it's a mix of red, white, and navy blue. I'm seeing some gold, which is nice, but it's just also randomly added these watches in here. So I think aesthetically, content-wise, not perfect, but the layout is much closer to what I kind of would have expected to see. Let's look at the second one, and the second one is considerably better. We have a clear distinction of the product shot below, like at the bottom, that jacket is red. We've got a very clear navigation, and yeah, we got a feature image at the top, which is a bit weird, a bit unrealistic, but I think this kind of shows the sort of the differences between what DALL-E does and what Midjourney does. So DALL-E has focused considerably more on the actual layout, which is what I would have expected from a website design concept. Whereas Midjourney, if we just have a quick look one more time, what it did is it just produced sharper shots. So Midjourney focused on the aesthetics, right? Which is much more important for the brand building, for the vibe, for the lifestyle, the feeling of that product that you're trying to sell. Whereas DALL-E focused a lot more on the layout. Midjourney also had, sort of layout suggestions, and I mean, they're not bad. They're actually quite good, but I don't know, it just feels like it's more focused on the photography than the actual layout itself. So because some things were done better by Midjourney, some things were done better by DALL-E, I would tend to say that this is another draw. So I really got to say that this prompt coherence challenge was pretty painful for me. I really loved the progress that Midjourney has made with version 6. I mean, let's face it, in terms of aesthetics and image quality, it's just in an entirely different league. DALL-E can't even get close to the type of image quality and aesthetics that Midjourney produces. The first and the second example were pretty close, but even then, there was far less variability in the results that you got. However, when it comes to prompt coherence, DALL-E is on an entirely different level. I have no idea what OpenAI is doing differently, but it is substantial. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments, and remember to check the video description for my Midjourney course, as well as a whole bunch of other free stuff. Thank you for watching, and remember to keep on learning. Cheers, and take care.